gonna begin. Scott.
I couldn't see your wrist.
Has everybody had a chance to review the police and DPW's budgets? Not much, take a couple minutes and look them over. Is it-
To that line at the end of this year to increase that.
Okay. That looks like it's an expense.
It's to the volunteers.
Okay, got it. Got it. So it's really not to the wash. All right. You're here.
Yeah.
So are you in the transportation maintenance
Yep.
streets one? Okay, let's start there.
And I gave everyone a copy of his proposals for today also.
Got it.
Your department doesn't have any income, so we won't go over that.
So you saw the adjustments to your proposed budget, but do you believe that the proposed budget gives you the flexibility to do what you need to do? Or do you see areas where there's going to be a potential?
You know, I mean, a lot of things are gonna be weather. I mean, you know, I can't predict the weather. You know, overtime budgets, snow budgets. But I understand the position we're in. And, you know, there's only so much to go around. I get it. But I would like to think that we can operate with this. It could get tricky, and we've already learned that this year. You know, in the last couple of years, everything has, you know, gone down a little bit, but, you know, luckily we do have some CHIPS money to work with. We're gonna try to purchase a truck with that and get some road work done. The one I see is the biggest problem is gonna be capital streets maintenance. You know, we've always had, you know, upwards of $60,000 in that, and I see it got cut to 50. That's the one we're gonna feel the most right there.
Well, does that mean that you'll just have to rework the plan, whatever, because I know you plan that out ahead of time. You have to rework that plan, or is that going to be enough to do?
No, so what that means is I wait to see what I get in that budget line, and that's your maintenance, your chip sealing, you know, your striping of roads, you know, just general maintenance, stuff like that. And we just won't be able to do as much, you know,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah.
Arlissa, are we able to take anything out of contractual lines, or are those pretty set?
So contractual are pretty set.
Okay, because $2,000 was taken from his under maintenance streets contractual line. Do we need to put that back?
No, because we did go back and based
Okay.
on this year's spending, we could do that
Okay.
Based on last year's, this current year?
this current year.
You know, the supplies line, that's where we get a lot of our signage from, and just your everyday, you know, tools and stuff you need. So I mean, you know, you cut that line, I see by $70,000. Could we get by? Yeah, you're gonna see, you know, street signs are gonna be, not gonna be replaced.
Well, I wasn't part of it, so I'm not sure where they came up with some of the cuts, but I think in a lot of instances, and I'm not suggesting that you spend to the limit if you don't have to, but it looks like a lot of it's based on what's been spent so far this year. And maybe there's items that you don't purchase until spring, so they haven't showing up for that, but, and I'm not saying that was the reason that Mike and Alyssa decided to cut to that amount, but that's what it appears to me.
Sure, and I'm sure that is part of the theory. And my theory is, our budget re-ups in June. So, the weather breaks generally, we hope around April, so we need stuff to do to carry us to there. And that's the money I allocate for that. So we can get out and do some road repairs. And, you're gonna see that next year in the spring, what are we gonna do? We've already been in a position where we can't haul gravel and stone in for this coming season because we don't have the funds to do it. And like I said, that capital street line is a huge one. The supplies as well is big as well, so.
What does CHIPS cover? Road paving?
Yeah, but there's a lot of guidelines, they just came out with a new set of guidelines. It used to be 10 years, you couldn't use CHIPS money on that road, now they're dropped it to 5 years. So that's gonna open up a lot of roads, that we can work on, but anything within 5 years, like, we can't touch, the CHIPS money's gonna use that.
Can it be used for other than street paving?
It can. There's a long list. I'd have to sit down and go over it. But we could buy some road maintenance equipment with that, and we've talked about buying a truck with that because we're in desperate need of a truck as well.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about maybe some of that money could be transferred or absorbed into where we have a lack.
Sure, and we will do that. But what I'm worried about is the maintenance part of the chip sealing. After we pave a road, we need to preserve that. And it's recommended that a year or two after you pave it, you go through and seal it. So we need to come up with the money from the village budget to do that.
Right. Because if you don't seal it, then you're sort of inviting
Exactly. And
problems.
in 5 years, it's a little too late. My theory is we let's preserve what we have, and kind of chip away at the ones that are really bad. Your Chestnut Street, Central Avenue. They need to be rehabbed.
Sure.
And there was no increase in Hochul's budget to CHIPS. The same 400.
Yeah. I think we have a little bit more than that in our CHIPS balance because we had a little bit of a rollover. So I think we're closer to 500.
And we talked about using CHIPS money in the past. You have to make sure that you're really careful what you use it for because there are pretty strict guidelines. And
That is an ongoing process though with the state budget because it's not been finalized.
yeah, but they're not going to raise it.
Okay.
Yeah, we went to a rally to encourage her to raise it with George Borello and Andy Mouter and DPW directors from the northern end of the county, but it's not in her budget. There are a lot of things they were advocating for that, it's like, their budget's like our budget. But they would love to have another $7 billion to get away, but just don't have it.
So, in my original proposed budget that I made, before the first of the year, some items that I wanted to use for CHIPS were to buy a new plow truck, which is a $250,000 price tag on that. So that's going to leave about $250 left in that CHIPS account. And I wanted to pave the east parking lot, do some micro paving, and then do Chestnut Street. There's not going to be enough to do all that. You know what I mean? So I think we're going to have to pick and choose. Chestnut, I've been getting a lot of complaints. It needs work. It needs to be paved.
It does.
Yeah, Chestnut's rough.
Yeah.
Good.
So Gardner's bad too. Yeah, for that. So I was thinking the CHIPS funds is a new truck and pave Chestnut and maybe part of Gardner up to around Bend. And that would wipe that account out.
You have a estimated cost of paving Chestnut. Would there be enough with a truck in CHIPS money to
Yeah.
do that as well?
A little over 100,000 to pave it, but that's not all of Chestnut. That's just from Risley to Madison. Which is the worst section.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty bad.
And Gardner, going up Gardner from the intersection of Risley and Chestnut to, you know, around the bend, that section's terrible as well.
You were talking about micro paving.
Yeah, so micropave is what we've done to like up in Castile Heights area, Ryan, that was just paved. And the next year I went through and sealed that up with micropave.
So it's sort of like tar and chip, but a little different, a little better maybe?
It's more of a slurry. Yeah, it's a little bit cleaner. I think the residents are more happy with it.
Yeah,
But you have to have a good base to apply that, to put it down. Where,
yeah.
it's a little bit more money, but I think the long, you know, the life of it is.
Well, let's say in the personnel amount, was that based on, because we're going to have to do something that contracted 3%? Is
Yes.
that based on 3%?
3.5.
3.5%?
And that'll show up. So you'll notice some of the lines are higher than others, so like snow personnel, that's just divided between snow, parks, Russell Joy, street, distribution, and sanitary sewer, so.
Right.
Same with the overtime lines for those.
I think that's really about it. I mean, I don't see any adjustments.
So with personnel, I have a vacant mechanic's position right now. We've hired a guy that, he's on the payroll, he's a laborer right now. I would like to advertise for that job and possibly promote him to a mechanic. And I think the savings are you're gonna see it significantly in your maintenance line. And the cost of that promotion, I think is about $1 an hour.
Without filling,
So then you'd be down to labor and you're
yeah,
okay
you
with
can
that?
do down labor.
Kind of down an operator too. So right now I'm taking some laborers and using them as operators. You pay premium, you know, there's a cost to that too. I mean, essentially I'd like to see a mechanic get promoted and a laborer go to operator.
Did you budget for that in your personnel lines?
I did not. I did for the mechanic. I believe. This all just kind of came about. I didn't even have these employees when this budget was made 3 months ago. So,
Was it?
Okay.
you know,
How do I put this? So there was a mechanic in that position, but he got
there was a mechanic. He got promoted.
promoted.
To open up that.
Right.
So we do have an employee budgeted who not really sure if, when he's returning to work.
Yeah.
Yes, so I just think that it's gonna make sense to promote, so you're not paying the premium.
Can you get those numbers to Alyssa?
If we,
We kind of worked on those this
Yeah, I
morning,
have.
actually.
Okay. How much would we have to add into that personnel line?
what was that?
So we wouldn't have to add any money to the personnel line because we do have additional funds because of the person who's not gonna be here.
Okay.
And
So
there's
we
no,
technically wouldn't have to add anything.
and there's no indication when he might be able to return.
Right.
Not at this point, no.
Is the person out on leave or what's going on?
Yes.
The medical.
Okay. So you're saying the finances to cover,
Alright,
Would be
then
no
add the
additional,
finances,
yeah.
okay.
All right, so we'll address that at some point.
Would anybody else be eligible for the mechanic's position? Would there be a, do we have to,
We'd have to
We'd have
post
to
Yeah,
post
it has to be posted, yeah.
Not that I'm aware of, I don't think anybody would have the credentials that this employee has.
That's a civil service thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So they would have to at least be, hopefully, have the skills to do the job,
Yeah.
hopefully.
So, some lines we didn't go over, because they're not in there anymore. I want to bring up, was the tree line, you know? We've always had a line for trees. That line covered cutting trees, trimming trees, and planting new trees. So that was taken out of the budget last year. We have a lot of dead trees. We learned that last night. We had about a dozen trees come down. So I had to hire a contractor for some of them. We worked on some of them. There's just some stuff we can't do. If there's wires involved, we can't get involved with that. If they're up in the air, I mean, we don't have that equipment.
You have $5,000 in your shade trees.
What's that?
There's $5,000 for trees.
Yes, that got put back in
Okay.
just this year. So yeah,
Okay.
last year it wasn't a line. This year it is. It used to be, I think, $30,000. So 5,000 is better than nothing. But it's very important, I think, to have that line in there, just for emergencies alone. I mean, I understand if we can't afford to plant trees right now,
Mhm.
which is also an important thing to do, I think, if you
mhm.
cut trees.
Good to replace them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The sidewalk program was eliminated last year. It was a great program. We would reimburse residents that replace their sidewalk or, broken. Everybody can't afford to put a new sidewalk in, so it didn't pay for it all, but it helped out a lot.
Mhm.
And there was a village side of that budget line too. And, we would replace intersections or downtown sidewalks and, I think it's one of those things, if you don't stay on top of it, it's gonna eventually catch up to you, So, I'm
Yeah.
a little concerned about that. Our equipment, I mean, it's been deteriorating for some time now. Our loaders on the last leg, our mowers, they get used every day. The DPW building, I mean, there's floor drains that you can't even take off because they're gonna crumble. The block's crumbling. I mean, we've got some building issues going on.
You had a roof replaced.
The roof, that was an insurance, job, but it did end up costing the village some money, but yes, half of it, wasn't the whole roof, right? It was just the south side got replaced.
So when you talk maintenance, Scott, like, for example, you have a mechanic that can handle that.
We do not have a mechanic right now. Nobody has the title of mechanic. I have a guy that I pay right now a premium when he's a laborer, but when he does mechanical work, I pay him premium. It's working out well. That's how I'd like to promote to the full-time position of mechanic.
Because, I mean, that's gonna bring your maintenance costs down, I would think.
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. I think it already has, it's just in this, past month.
Kyle? Water distribution looks like it wasn't really touched at all. Same with sewer. Okay. Does anybody have anything else for Scott?
I did have one more thing too.
Sure.
In the parks, Russell Joy, I've been struggling with the lighting up there. We still have a light that's out. It needs to be replaced. It's old, high pressure sodium. We got an estimate years ago to upgrade that to LED. There's some rebates out there. I would really like to see, you know, those lights get upgraded. So, I mean, they're gonna nickel and dime us. And every time I gotta get one replaced, I gotta hire a bucket truck. I mean, it's $1,000.
It wasn't included in Siemens' contract.
It was not, no. No. You know, those pickleball courts, I'd really like to repair them, the basketball courts. They're gonna need a rehab, but I think if we patch them, we can make them last for a couple more years, you know? I know it's just buying time, but it's better than the alternative, you know?
Yeah.
$800 is a pretty small price to.
I do see under Russell Joy Park, we don't have a maintenance line at all for that park.
Yeah, we do. We should. It
I
might
mean,
be-
supply, there's personnel, supplies, utilities, telephone, and contractual for Russell Joy specifically.
So,
For parks, we have a maintenance equipment, but
Russell, you don't have our Russell Joy Park supplies, 1,100?
Yes.
I mean, well, that's supplies,
Supplies.
but I wouldn't think that that's maintenance. And that's also been brought down to $200.
Yeah.
As far as the pickleball courts, I think we found a financer for that. Pretty sure that it's gonna be paid for.
Okay, I was
For the repairs.
Okay.
Yeah, but in the long run, I know that Mike has been in touch with somebody. Apparently, we've been told that there's grant money available for parks. So he's talking to the state rep to see how we apply for that and what we need, and if we need to reimagine what the park looks like, and maybe make some major changes to it.
And we share that park with the town of Pomfret. So
Right.
if we're gonna do a capital project like we did a few years ago, we paved the parking lots and the roads going in, they split that with us. So, you know, for that lighting, I believe I got an estimate, it was right around $11,000 to upgrade all those to LED. So we could potentially split that with the town, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that should reduce our electric costs too a
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
And the maintenance costs, like I said, it's at least 3 times a year, they're up there to replace a bulb or a ballast or
Oh,
a
wow.
starter.
Yeah.
You know, or the wind, you know, blows the, you know, it's a constant, you know,
Yeah.
they're 30 years old, those pictures.
Do we
Sure.
want to add that lighting then into capital?
Well, I think we need to have a conversation with the town first. See if they're willing to split the cost with us.
I think we just have to, I'll just verify with as long as it's in their budget, they split with us, as long as they have the normal amount.
Yeah.
When's the last time those were replaced?
The courts,
No, the lights.
the lights, 25 to 30 years ago.
It's been that long.
Yeah, they're old.
We got our money out of it.
But the
Oh, yeah.
bulbs don't last that long. That, you're talking about the fixture.
The fixture, there's a starter in there,
Right.
the bulbs, there's, you know, there's a lot of moving
But
parts.
like you say, you gotta get the bucket truck,
Yeah.
do maintenance. Is that typical, a bulb issue or anything?
Yeah, anything.
Okay. So the high pressure sodium is outdated technology,
I think so, yeah.
and you don't have any reliability, it's aged, so to upgrade to LED makes total sense.
In my mind, it does,
Yeah.
Okay.
And I know we looked at it, I budgeted a few years ago, and it was about $2,000 less, so it's just gonna keep going up.
Yeah. They've gone up
Is that-
already.
Yeah, usually they.
I would think too, you'd
10,000. I
get
would just
better
verify that
illumination.
that's on there.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Anything else for us?
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right, sir.
All right.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks a lot.
No, I think, one of my fears, not just with his department, but all departments, is whether they have enough money after the substantial cuts are made to do what they need to do. And we're not looking at another rand
Yeah.
Yep.
sometime next February, March.
I mean, I know I might be the only one that thinks this way, but that's why, every single budget I've advocated for higher tax increase just to keep us from getting to this spot.
I wasn't sure if that's what they have, huh?
Yes, sir. Sorry.
It's okay.
So just to start with capital, I see that both, you requested for 2 police cars. Thank you. And both were cut. I think we need to put one back. At least one. Your cars are, yeah. I just remember our first budget that we did. John, I think that was the year after you didn't get a police car. Or you didn't get any police cars for a year, and we then ended up having to replace 2.
I'd like to show you on I have 4 patrol cars for the road. We averaged 139,000 as a total department, miles last year as a total department. I have 2 cars that are beyond their life cycle, 97,000 and 109,000. Those are today's numbers. Now, these are the cars that are on the road 24/7, 365 days a year. When you talk to Dodge, most patrol cars are made, we're city mileage, we're not highway. Most cars are made to last 90,000 miles. And they tell me that because when we've had a couple cars up to the Dodge dealership in Gowanda for their graded repair, or for warranty work. And they go in and they can tell us how long the car has actually been running. And on average, you take the mileage and triple it, because it'll show you idle running, meaning the car's running, but the car's probably not moving. And that's typical. I mean, so when you see 109,000, 97,000 miles, the engine's got 3 times that worth of wear. And we're finding right now, and especially the 2 cars up top, we're replacing stabilization bars on the suspension. I mean, I don't want to use this, but the cars, they're unsafe.
Yeah.
And there's no way, no amount of maintenance is going to bring them back to where they should be. I appreciate you recognizing you want to put one back. I have nowhere else in my budget. Neither of these cars are going to make the year. It's not a threat. It's not. Neither of these cars are going to make the year. I'm barely keeping them on the road now. And I have no fat in my operating budget to try and purchase a car taking money from someplace else. This year's operating expenses were reduced 15% from last year, and then a month ago another 15% was taken me. I'm literally working off of 2018 operating expenses. I did a comparison of the last, I think, 8 years, and you can see my budget now so I'd like to think one car is great, but I'm telling you that I'm showing you the mileage, I can show you the repair bills. I don't know how. We don't have a big fleet. We have 4 patrol cars that you see every car that I'm responsible for now. We never bought another drug car. Our Dodge Ram, which is our utility truck, has 102,000 miles on it. And those Chevy Traxxas, those wouldn't last 1 year doing any type of filling in for road patrol. Those are 3-cylinder vehicles that we're using because I need to get from point A to point B. They're not meant to be running. I just want people to understand that. I bought them because they were $22,000. I bought them. And they serve their purpose. They get me to meetings and to emergencies, same with the investigator, but there's no way I could sub that back in as a patrol vehicle.
Right.
And then they were purchased as a monetary saving at the time, but they have their use. So, these cars don't sit in a nice warm garage and get called out when there's a call. These cars are always in use. They rotate, but 139,000 miles last year on the road kind of shows you how much they're on the road. I'll take anything I can get.
Is that 70,000 per car? Is that the government bidding?
That is, Ford has a patrol car, it's an Explorer. Dodge has the Durango. Chevy has the Tahoe. I get quotes from everybody, and that's roughly 70 is outfitting them. I'm hoping to get it down around 60, but I hate making those promises because they never make anything the same anymore in these cars. They reconfigure stuff.
Right, so you
And-
can't just pull stuff from an old car, throw it in.
Right, and I don't know until it goes to get outfitted and some guy says to me, look, that ain't gonna fit in there. Well, how much is that? Well, that's gonna cost you another $4,000 and then another $1,000 to install, and then that's where I get nickel and dime, so.
Yeah.
Do the 2 older vehicles have any resale value in your mind?
The 2 that we would get rid of?
Yeah.
Couple thousand each, yeah,
I
nothing.
was gonna say, if they pay the cost of outfitting the
You know, when you-
replacement, that would be
When you
something.
look at the miles we're getting out of these things, the floors are starting to pit and rot. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
And then 70,000, was that taking into account any increase due to tariffs? Is that today's pricing or
the Made in America.
even the parts?
I was told when I got the quote for the Dodges that I was good through June.
Okay.
Well,
Chief, is there anything available on the used market, or I'll say lightly used?
I tried researching that when I was trying to find options for unmarked vehicles, and it doesn't pay for itself because you're buying vehicles that are 2-3 years old, and you don't know where they've been. And there's not a price savings.
It's not, it's also not just a Dodge Durango. They're designed for
Correct.
patrol and for pursuit. So they have
Right,
Yeah.
beefier brake panels.
yeah, interceptor,
Yeah.
right. Well, that's what I meant though, in the, like, maybe in the state or county, like, if they turn them over early, nothing?
I don't think anybody does.
I don't
They
think
all
anybody's.
use them up.
Yeah. They're doing the
They
same
max
thing
them
here.
out, no.
I think
Yeah.
they do,
Yeah, I
yes.
don't think we're the only entity in the position. I think everybody keeps their vehicles
Yeah.
as long as they possibly
Scratch the life out of it.
Yeah.
Well, because there's so much expense now into outfitting them, you know, the labor it takes to take out radios, the cages, the light bars, and then you put it all back in. I mean, I can get the vehicle for 45,000. I don't know, I'm hoping to keep it under 20. I'll do it as cheap as I can. I'll take whatever I can off this and put it in the new ones and not spend the money. I've done it before, but I can't underbid it and fool you into thinking I'd rather give it back to you in the end than underbid and then me beg for money. And when I'm calculating those expenses, I'm not overinflating, I'm just recognize what it could cost.
Once you see that, what impact that's gonna have.
But when I was asked to do a preliminary budget and have it on the mayor's desk for January 1st, I proposed last year's numbers, or to where I knew that I wasn't trying to inflate anything.
Okay. So I feel like we're in a position we have to put those back.
And I gotta share with you, because I want you to understand that last month when 15% was taken from me, and I need you to understand, I never bought ammo yet, because we don't start shooting until May, so I hold off purchasing ammo, hoping the price will go down. So I don't have ammo. I'm short 4 sets of tires. I can't remember what else. Oh, 3 bulletproof vests for contract that were in my budget for clothing. Those are contractual. I asked the members of the union not to grieve it. I'll try and get them next year. But I'm starting off the year
Behind.
Deficit.
$10,000 behind because I gotta buy bullets. I got ball tires on the car. I don't need an accident, and
Yeah.
I don't have paper. I mean, I don't get my budget and spend everything, spend in June. I try and distribute the spending throughout the year, but what I've asked for has been allocated, and I'm not spending on stuff we don't need. I did a lot of spending last year, but it was a large grant, and I bought stuff that the Village of Fredonia taxpayers don't have to buy now. I'm trying to get another grant for body cameras, which would save the taxpayers $40,000, but all that, the computers and everything, I've been buying with grant money. The maintenance stuff, I try and buy throughout the year in case something happens, I can pivot. But you need to understand, I'm starting next year behind the 8 ball already.
Right.
Alyssa, is the on-street parking, the personnel line, is that assuming so many hours spent?
Yeah, it's a percentage of one of the police officers' pay and our court clerk's pay.
Okay.
And seeing you brought that up, the $6,000 from parking was taken a month ago. That's where the parking tickets would have came out of, so I haven't even gone to Copy Boy with the new law, because I know the money won't be reappropriated till June.
And that's why we didn't put an effective date on that law.
I saw that, and it does go into effect until it's filed, but I'm letting you know that I don't want you to think I'm not doing my job and not getting it done, it's just,
So you need to have $6,000 for parking tickets.
I believe they quoted me around 3,000.
Oh, okay.
The other money's spent on batteries for parking meters, and
Okay.
Hence.
they're not
we need-
mechanical anymore.
Hence, we need to get rid of parking meters. The majority of them, we need to get rid of them.
So just going through some of the big things that were cut, what, or Alyssa, is that 25,000 that was cut out of personnel? Was that the? Cause I see in your personnel line that you gave us, that's with an additional officer.
No, I requested an additional officer as I did
Okay.
last year.
So there's still 2 officers. You know what, that's probably because we had 3 officers listed, but then we swapped it to 2 officers in the dispatcher.
For the dispatcher, okay.
That has to be what it is.
And just so it's clear to the public, because there's some to think, I've asked for 3 new police officers. We're attempting to hire a dispatcher and 2 full-time officers, replacing people who have left us for retirement.
Correct.
So I did not ask for 3 additional police officers. We're replacing to maintain the staff that we've had for decades. Actually, the officer I'm requesting is the one we're short right now. And that is to fill all the demands of the investigation unit that we have right now. And I put that in there. I know the constraint of the village, but the demands keep increasing, and that's why it's there.
Okay.
But I just want the public to know that you have not appropriated, and I have not asked for 3 additional police officers. They're replacing.
Yeah.
Correct. And this number that we have, or Alyssa, this accounts for our negotiations that we just had?
Yes.
Okay. Supplies, is that where your ammo comes out of?
Ammo comes out of training.
Okay.
I just want to say this because I saw another officer quote this the other day as I was doing some training. The reason we train with real ammunition, and we're required to do it annually, and my department does it 3 times a year. It's because when you train for something, I come back to work and then I actively apply what I've learned and what I've trained and how I do things, and hopefully it's reinforced every day as you're doing it and learning it, and you maintain that knowledge. The reason it's so important we train with real ammunition and on the range every year is because we don't fire our weapons as a normal course of business. So it's very important that we actively train, learn muscle memory, and teach the appropriate use of force techniques. And that maintains not just our safety, but the public's. That's why, it's not that officers we hear it every day, and when we come to budget times, and it costs money, but it's an aspect that has to be done on our time in controlled situations, because it's something we don't get to reinforce every day
Right.
as a normal course of business.
They need to know exactly what it's gonna feel like when, hopefully that day never comes, that they have to draw their weapon.
Correct, because it's nothing we do every day, and that's why it's so important. I don't want think the perception sometimes is we just wanna go out and shoot ammunition and have fun, and people don't understand why we do that every year.
Yeah, it's the same with, starting, like, training IVs for me, we use all the same things, all the same, All right,
Okay, I have a question. Could we just circle back to personnel, that 25,000?
mhm.
I know that was explained, but could you elaborate again on that?
I defer to Alyssa, I'm not sure where you're discussing the 25,000 from.
So it went from, we originally were going to replace with 3 officers.
Yeah,
But instead, Chief Price had found someone who was interested in the dispatcher position,
Right.
so that reduced the
I
personnel
see,
line.
okay.
Yeah,
That'd be the difference.
Basically, the dispatcher's cheaper than a police officer.
Yeah,
Yes.
that makes
Right,
total
but not the
sense.
same thing. I mean,
No, but we were hiring another, when I explained it, I said, well, I had an opportunity to hire an officer that was available. But we haven't been able to find a dispatcher. So what I explained was, it was 40 man hours. I got somebody who can fill that right now. As soon as I could find a dispatcher with the next absence, we would hire a dispatcher instead of police officer. So essentially, we went one officer heavy and one dispatcher light, and we would rebalance in the future.
because
But-
when there is no dispatcher, an officer sits in that spot.
oh,
Yep.
okay.
Correct.
So he's been filling the dispatcher position.
Yes,
With an officer.
so right now, I found somebody, so I pivoted back to save the village money.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Okay. Personnel is another huge cut, but hopefully we'll be staffed and we won't, or overtime, I mean, is another
Overtime.
huge cut. Hopefully we'll be staffed though and it won't matter. The only other huge cut that I see is the supplies, and that was $8,000 pulled out of supplies.
Yeah.
Is there currently a part-time police officer available to you?
I have available, this year there is, I haven't been able to find somebody. I actually have a retired person call me with interest, but I asked them to wait till after the budget process, because I wasn't sure, but I basically have a part-time right now. He's a retired lieutenant. And he fills in on days a lot, okay? I'm not gonna, it serves a purpose, especially right now when I'm losing 2 day shift guys to retirement. And then I have a retired deputy who reached out to me and I said I would get back to him. So I'm hoping he's still interested, but I wanted this to play out
Well, it's
first.
certainly less
Yeah.
expensive than overtime,
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes,
so,
and there's,
yeah.
for a part-time officer, we're only paying for when they're
When they're actually
present,
working.
yeah, so it's not.
And
it's
no
not big
benefits.
stuff.
No benefits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chief, what about COs, like in the prison system? Are they potentially available? I know you've been trying to get recruits.
I wish I could hire a CO. I actually have one in the village who wants to work. In fact, I would have hired him full-time. That's how what I think of him. He's a peace officer. He has to go through the academy.
Okay.
He has to take the civil service exam. He has to meet all those requirements. I can't hire somebody full-time that's not on the civil service list. He's 35 years old. He's aging out, so he's on a time crunch. So he has to try and take a civil service exam if he still wants to, but I can't hire COs. COs can go work in the jail as COs, but COs cannot be police officers. As a matter of fact, I had a chief's meeting, we all met yesterday, and there are several that are interested in changing a job and may put themselves through the academy. But at this point, even if they had the academy, they can't even be hired until they have civil service requirements met, which means they have to take a test and pass.
We can't even do provisional with us, with an officer.
No. 'cause
Not
we're
when there's
on the
people
list.
on the list that are able to be hired.
When's the county's next Is that a yearly
September.
test? Okay. All right.
I thought, do you remember when we went to NICOM and we met with the new civil service director, and he was going to make,
They had no interest in touching police or fire.
I thought those
because-
were the two that they were,
No, because because you get downstate, and everybody wants to work for NYPD, everybody wants to work for NYFD. So they don't see the recruitment issues that we do.
well, it seems they can make that an exception.
Would be
I mean, if
nice.
they were
Because I do,
serious.
what I took from that conversation was a lot of, like, state nursing they were waiving all of those requirements for. But yeah, they had no interest in addressing police.
And that guy was just hired, he was brand new to the job,
Correct.
so he probably
Yeah,
didn't know how.
because I remember sitting in, it wasn't the one that you were in, but I remember sitting in another one where every single one of us were having issues recruiting officers, and every single one of us were getting less and less thrilled by the second when he kept telling us, no, you're not having recruitment issues. So,
Because
so
New
no,
York
we will not
City's
be
fun.
addressing police and fire. Yeah,
Yeah,
that room was getting quite toasty by the end of the conversation. I did not envy his position with it.
Mhm.
Hey,
All right, so are we putting the patrol cars back?
we're gonna see what that price is out to be,
Okay.
what impact that's gonna have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's tentatively back. Personnel and overtime won't need to be addressed. Couldn't $7,000 work for you for training? And 10 grand for supplies? That's a $2,000 cut from your training and an $8,000 cut from your supplies.
So help me, I'm sorry, I
No, it's okay.
apologize, I don't have those numbers.
So for supplies, you requested 18, we cut out 8, you're down to 10. When I say we, I mean the mayor. And then for
And
travel
travel
training,
training.
you requested 9, he cut out 2 to bring you down to 7,
which is what you started the year with, but
which is,
everything's
yeah,
going up.
yeah.
What,
Maintenance is at what?
Maintenance is at 17,000, which is what you got this year. You requested 20. Gasoline, you requested 30, you were brought down to 25, which is what you got this year.
Pretty much everything is what you
Yeah.
see this year.
Looks like
except-
uniforms goes
Uniforms
up a
going up.
little bit,
Yep.
and
The only
Pretty
thing, the
much
only
everything
issue that I
else was
see
down.
is you're saying that you're struggling with supplies and stuff, and we are giving you less than you even got this year.
My,
but he didn't get the whole amount.
I'm
this year.
10,000 in the hole right now.
Yeah, So that's
I'm just,
For supplies?
yeah, cause between, my tires, the bullets, and the 3 vests, that's 10 grand.
So you would then have.
Yeah,
Nothing
I can
for
tell
us.
you, I'm gonna spend 10 grand right at June 1st, because there's no way of delaying that.
What's in the account now, Melissa? This shows,
See, after I spend that, I'll basically end up where you're asking me to be now, at 10,000 and 7,000.
Yeah. So I think, I see what you're looking at, John, and I typically do the same thing.
well, I just wanna see if that's up to date. I'm asking Melissa to check to see where we are with that, right?
No, but I see what, like, okay, but you only spent 6 grand, but don't forget, we took money out of these accounts.
Understand,
Yeah.
which is,
which one are we looking at?
Supplies.
police supplies. Is there any balance in that right now?
Okay.
No.
$800, but
Okay.
What will my overtime line be? I'm sorry.
Your overtime will be 60, which is what you got this year. You requested 75.
I,
Was a lot of that overtime used when one of the officers was gone for a long period of time?
no, this is steady throughout the year.
Accumulation, okay.
I really didn't have a peak or valley this year. It was pretty consistent.
Well, because your peak hasn't come yet.
My peak hasn't come yet. And there's no way of hiding the fact that I'm down 3 people right now, and I will continue to be down 3 people until somebody comes back from the academy, and that's September. But that takes me into next year. My fear's what Fred Fest is gonna cost me right now.
Wouldn't it make sense for us to hire the part-time officer as soon as we can? I mean, that's not gonna increase the budget at all.
Right. No, that won't
Yeah.
change anything.
I'll reach out to him.
That would be my recommendation. I don't know how you guys feel.
No, I agree. Let's do that Monday.
Give you at least a little bit
Let me
more.
reach out to him, gotta make sure he's still interested
Yeah,
and hire
See if
him.
he has
Yeah.
any.
Because it's already been budgeted, is that what you're saying?
There is
Let's
really no
talk.
budgeting for part-time officers because they don't cost anything until
Oh, no
they're
benefits.
boots
Till we
and,
use them.
yeah,
and they're cheaper than overtime,
yeah.
so if they can reduce overtime just to even a bit,
Yeah, that makes sense.
And there's gonna be overtime coming up here in the near future.
yeah.
Sure is.
Peak.
We expect it.
Listen, I would try and make my lines. I'm just,
My feeling is that we should probably, knowing the position that the chief's in because of this year's budget, is that we add that 8 back into his supply line.
You said ammunition comes out of training?
travel training, but
We can,
I can,
Yeah,
it's a supply.
Yeah.
If I have to touch it somewhere else, but right now,
but we need to
I
make
won't
sure
spend it
that,
if I don't have to.
yeah,
Yeah.
we need to make sure that he's able to put officers in safe cars, they need to have vests. Those
Yeah.
are safety things that I just,
yeah,
Supplies, Chief, could you expand on that? What are?
Oh man, I wish I had a list. It's
Right now.
everything. It's
Yeah.
every paper, chair. I just bought a fax machine because ours quit. Printers, computers, supplies for cars. You know, like if it doesn't fall under maintenance, I'll supplies for cars. I have maintenance agreements for like the Beast computer. We have a couple computer systems with the state that have to have maintenance agreements. My batteries, Motorola has a maintenance agreement. There are things you can't get away from because they won't service our equipment and software. But all of that, there's books, penal law books. I buy 3 penal law books, which have to be bought every year because laws change throughout the year, and that's $2,000. I mean, penal law books are insane, and there's no way of getting around all that. And I could go on. It's
yeah.
I have every bill I submit. I would show you what we spend on supplies, but
Yeah.
so when the 18,000 goes really fast.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah. So if 18,000 goes real fast, 10 is gonna get you to, when does this budget go into effect, June 1st? I give you a week,
$1,000 a set of tires,
yeah.
Yeah,
and when you put 140,000 miles on a year, I mean, I'm buying 10 sets of tires.
Yeah. I think that's one of those lines, John, that you were concerned that, you know, did it get cut to crippling the department, and I feel like that does. So I would like to put it back if everybody's in agreement.
We'll price it out.
8,000.
Yeah.
We'll price it out and see what that does.
yeah.
Alright.
mean, it sounds like there's no flexibility there, right? These are hard costs.
Like, to a certain extent, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really,
Chief, is there anything else?
if we want to have police protection in the village,
Comes with a cost.
yeah.
Right.
No, I'd just like to point out that I really do understand where we're at. When I submitted my preliminary budget in January, I just put in the cars. I didn't go shopping for stuff, you know. I need new tasers. There's no computer equipment in there. I've been really trying really hard to find grants to cover a lot of our needs. It's just, that stuff's starting to dry up too. It's been a long time since COVID. But
Anybody else have anything else? I would like to end by saying thank you to you and your officers for the actions Tuesday. Was it Monday or Tuesday?
well, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Well, that was Maple,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was gonna say, what happened Tuesday?
yeah. I did a walkaway on the property.
Did you walk a
Hiding in
little
plain
faster?
sight,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
yeah, yeah, okay.